Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 6 of Tamia's Tiger 1 late version. Scale is 1 to 35. In this part, I'm going to be putting all the finishing touches to the model. So I'm going to touch up a little bit of the figure and put on some weathering. So let's jump into this and see how well I get on. The first thing I have to do though is finish off the turret. So I'm just placing on the first bracket for the gun mount. That goes on the little clip there. Just needs a little bit of cement, nothing too much. You may notice that the track links are repositioned. That was because I had them in the wrong position and I put the brackets too low, so I've sorted that out. Back to the mount, and I've just put on the mount proper. The figurehead cap, the cap just popped off. I didn't think I put enough cement on it, so I may as well sort that out while I'm here. And I'm just going to pop the figure inside the turret just to see the positioning of the gun. I want to make sure it's as central as possible and how the arms interact with the actual gun to make sure it's not at a strange angle. The turret cover is not attached. I just put that in there to make sure that the figure can go in unhampered. But now the figure's loosely in, I can then attach the gun turret. And it's just a small location point. That pin goes down into its own little area. You can, of course, have this free moving if you wish. The gun just pops onto the mount. There is a couple of location points for it, but you can ignore these really, just so that you can position the gun exactly how you want it. There's only 4 decals to go on. 2 at the side here, the German insignia, and the registration number on the turret itself. I'm placing these on first before I put the cable on, because the decal goes underneath the cable. I could have put the cable on first, and it would have just been a little bit more trickier to put the decal on, so it's wise to do it now. I should point out as well, though, that I haven't varnished this, and I don't plan on varnishing it. Now, that's a bit of a risk, because the decals can silver and interact badly with the paint. But these decals are quite good, and I got away with it. Now, why am I not varnishing it? Well, I'm going to be weathering this model, not heavily, but quite extensively. And I don't want the model to shine through. I want the weathering to take up the patina of the metal as such. So I'm not going to be weathering it. But it is a risk. I'm not going to be varnishing it. But it is a risk not varnishing it, because you can't disturb or muck up your paintwork. And if I did varnish it, it would have to be my gloss coat varnish, decals on, varnish again, weathering, then put on the flat coat. So that all takes quite a lot of time, and I just don't have the time to do that on this particular build either. So this is why I came up with the build plan, just to have it in its raw form as such. As I said, it's a risk, but I think it's one worth taking. As you can see, that I've just popped on the turret. I'm just checking it for fit to make sure that everything is going to fit in the socket properly and rotate. Especially with the figure in, I don't want it to interfere. Sometimes it can, depending on the quality of the figure, but as you can see, everything was alright. So now I'm placing on the last cable. So there's 3 location points for that, no 2, sorry. I've just put in the cement for, and the cable then just attaches onto it. It's quite a simple process. The whole build's been quite simple, really. And the cable is the last thing that will be attached, apart from the turret, obviously. Once I've placed on the turret, I shall leave this a good couple of hours to let the decals dry properly. They're almost dry now, but it's better just to leave it a little bit longer, because obviously the weathering process can be a bit harsh on decals before the constant rubbing and brushing. So there's the turret going on for the final time. It just goes into this little socket, then I twist it around to secure it in position. Obviously you can glue it if you want, but it's really not necessary. So I'm just twisting it now, and everything looks fine. So I'm going back to the figure. I'm not really happy with the eyes, so I'm going to touch these up. And I'm using X2 white Tamia and X14 sky blue for the pupils. So I'm just making tiny adjustment. And if I go out of my paint line, I'll just put on some more flesh and cover it up. So it's a very slow process. I'm also using Tamiya's XF64 red brown to give the face lines more depth. So I'm just putting tiny amounts of and blending it in. This is what I'm doing now. Hardly putting any paint on the brush whatsoever, just to highlight the jawline, cheekbones, and just down the lines. My camera really cannot zoom in to show you this process properly, unfortunately. But as try as I might, I still cannot get these eyes done to a good detail. It's the usual problem with me in figures. I'm just not very good at them, but I'm still trying. And lastly, it's just a little touch up with Tamiya's XF69 NATO Black on the uniform. I'll see if I can get this up to the camera so you can see it properly, but my camera will probably go out of focus. Yeah, it's not great, but hopefully you can make out some details. The photographs may be a little bit better, but the eyes just aren't brilliant. So it's on to the withering, and I'm using Tamiya's Withering Master Series B and the soot component on this occasion. And I've got my brush shaper. That's the foam or rubber solid brush, and I'm just adding on the soot component over the exhaust, applying it quite liberally so it's all over the place. And I lift up the cable slightly for you, but that part of the cable is not attached anyway, so this is why I didn't do it before attaching everything. I'm switching over to Tamiya's Withering Master Series C, and I'm using the gunmetal component here, and I'm putting this around the tank quite aggressively, particularly on all the hard edges, so the corners and things like that, to make the metallic look stand out. So anything where there's a hard edge, I will be placing this on. If I want a deeper shade, I'll increase the pressure of the brush and add a little bit more pigment. Now, lighter ones, I'll just be a very light passover on the brush, and I'm just differentiating between the tones of the pigment, because if you have all as one solid depth or tone, it will actually look off balance. So it's better to have different tones and depth around the actual model. Next, I'm using Humbrol's Dark Earth pigment here. Now what I've done is I've dampened down the kitchen towel, put a dry brush in the pigment, then placed it on the kitchen towel, and it makes it a little bit sloppy like mud. And then I'm just using a stiff bristle brush and just dabbing it on throughout the track and wheels. It's quite a simple process, but it's very effective. You can of course put this on without dampening the pigment down, but since I wanted to look a bit like mud, hence why I dampened the kitchen towel down a little bit. The last thing to do is to create the aerial, so I'm just melting some spruce, stretching it out for the aerial. And once it's cooled down, I'll just snip the stretch part off. Just use a pair of scissors for this. It's a very thin filament. Obviously be careful you don't break it, but it's easy enough to do, as you've seen there. Once it's snipped off, I'm using Tamiya's XS56 metallic grey to paint it. And once everything is dry, it's time to attach it. There's a little location point just at the side of the turret for this, and this will actually bring the build to an end on part 6. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds. If you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, That way you'll be kept up to date with all my builds, including this one, of course. Hit that like button. Don't be afraid to leave a comment, and of course you can share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.